welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. Having some technical problems, so I can't get in the chat room. I don't know if it's Blog Talk Radio or if it's Google Chrome, but they're giving me problems, so still trying. 20 minutes now. Just the way it is on Friday, huh? Today is interesting. Let's see if I can get in here. This day in history, I just posted it on Facebook. Brother Dana connecting the dots to correlations that I always like. And this weekend was an interesting weekend, June 9th to June 11th. Because it correlates with the 15th day of the third month, which in the past was the day Moses of Israel into the wilderness, the Sinai wilderness, and how God reminds us of how I bear you on eagle wings and brought you unto myself. And so that's pretty cool. And on the 11th day, what is the 11th? On the 9th, they left Egypt. They came into the wilderness of Sinai. And on the 11th day, you can read it in Exodus 19:10 to 11. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes and be ready against the third day, which is the 11th, Monday. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all people upon Mount Sinai. And so that would be Monday, the 11th, when he came down for all the people on Mount Sinai. Interesting, huh? I like it. And so it's a little history lesson. You know, I was just thinking earlier about what the Mandela effect has done over the years. Somebody asked me to do a video on that, and I don't know, I've just never had time. Not on my plate. But it reminds me of my interview with Lucifer and what he said about it. And he said time is always on their side. Because, you know, you figure a generation in our day and age is about 80 to 100 years. And that's how long you live. You just die. And so everything in our generation that happened down the road, do you think people are going to read and look back to our generation and get an accurate portrayal of what was said or done? Because all they have to do over time is go back and erase the text, change the text, change the audios, change the videos, do whatever they want. They control how people view history. They control what you think of what happened in history. You know, they control all the text. In one swipe, they could change every website on the internet to say whatever they wanted to say. They can change words, they can change meanings. And if you think it's safe on audio, they can change those too. It's some kind of tech that they have. Because when you're working with dimensional beings and energies and technology we can't even begin to explain, they're at a advantage over us. We're kind of like the static dumb dimension. We don't really do anything. We just exist in this dimension, and that's it. So we're always at a disadvantage to those who are around us and don't die. You know, they live for thousands of years. That's why it's important when the Father said, "Thy word have I hid," when David said, "Thy word have I hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against thee." It's because what he knew from knowledge, what was right, what was wrong, not what was written, because text can be changed. We're to hide His word in our hearts. And text will be changed. I'm sure we haven't even seen the half of it with Mandela, what they call the Mandela effect. Go with what you've learned, folks. Go with what you know. Don't go with what you see with your own eyes, because they can deceive you. Did you ever try to go and do research on ancient Jewish things, and all the websites say the same stuff? You know it's not right. Just go with the Father, folks. Ask Him to teach you the truth in all things and to guide you in what you should read and what you should study. He'll take you everywhere. He'll take you over here. He'll take you over there. Little piece over here, little nuggets everywhere. Pieces everywhere. Somebody asked me a question. They said, what happens when people get soul scalped? What happens to the person? So I spent a lot of time on the show talking about how they're replacing humans, and I was laughing about the new Kim Kardashian they have out now, because they replaced the old one already. And it was funny because there was an article online. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Here it is. I know this has absolutely no relevance to anything, but this Hollywood stuff always interests people. Gives them a good laugh for the day. Kim Kardashian's butt unfortunately deflated before Kanye West's 40th birthday. I guess the new Kim doesn't have the big butt the old Kim did. So they have to excuse away what happened to her big butt. I'm sure she'll get some implants if she's going to be playing Kim for a while. You know, that's just a character. They keep going. They don't let celebrities die anymore. It costs them too much money. And so they just keep replacing them. They have lookalikes. Stand in. It worked for Michael Jackson. It worked for 30 years with Michael Jackson. They used stand-ins. And the stand-ins would last for a long time. And so after the Michael Jackson, keeping him alive for 30 years, after they killed him, because they realized it's too much money. It is too much money letting somebody die. It becomes a character. These people step in and play a character. How many Brad Pitts have you seen over the years? There's one for you. I mean, I've seen about 50 different Brad Pitts in the last 15, 20 years. You don't go along, you don't play with them, then they replace you. Look at Eminem. They replaced him. You've seen his clone all over the place. And they malfunction. Okay, so I'm going to have to answer my own question. What happens to people who get soul scalped? Well, they get trapped in their own bodies as observers. It's like you're in your body, but you have no control of it. You're just like stuck in the mind somewhere, and you can watch and see and hear what's going on, but you're not the one speaking and actually doing anything. You're just an observer in your own body. People who suffer from MPD, DID, you know exactly how that is, where you just become an observer of your own body because the altar takes over. That's pretty much what it would be like. They can go to the fifth dimension and be in limbo in the fifth dimension, or they're killed when they're taken over. And so there might be other options I'm not aware of, but those are the three I think of when someone gets soul scalped. Because I've seen people in the fifth dimension, celebrity kids, who were hanging out in limbo in the fifth dimension, and while other beings or whatever were taking over their bodies on Earth, who had become that person. And Father has a special heart for the kids. He'll take them on home. He'll often have me go into this limbo dimension and speak to them or whatever. And anytime I say something like this, you get 100 hate emails from people who don't understand. how things work and think they do, or that doesn't exist. Adults, not so much. They're pretty much responsible for their own actions. Don't sign the dotted line and give your soul to the devil and then whine and complain about it to the Father. You don't want to hear it. You already made your bed with the devil. Somebody sent me a question in. Hi, Sherry. According to Kent Dunn, latest video, June 21st, the summer solstice, 3D will split to 5D. The people who do not want change will be in 3D. Some people will disappear. And also, other sources say that June 21st, the new republic will be done and Paul Ryan will be the interim president. I guess June 21st is a big date. Please comment and give us your take and why June 21st. June 21st is the summer solstice, and so it's one of the biggest occultic holidays of the year, biggest dates of the year, because the occultists do everything by moons, alignments, and numbers. My other thoughts are you can't split dimensions. And humans cannot go from one dimension to another unless you're in your spirit body. A human body cannot enter into the fifth dimension. It's impossible because it's a spirit dimension. And so if you're in the spirit, if you're in the fifth dimension for whatever reason, then you automatically know you're in your spirit body. But what happens is the New Agers preach that the third dimension is going to ascend into the fifth dimension, and humans who are qualified or whatever will ascend with them. And that's a bunch of hogwash. The Bible talks about the veil being lifted and dimensions merging, and that's something I've been warning about over the years is the dimensions merging. And so that's what's going to happen, if anything. And I would not say June 21st. It's way too early for that. There's other events that have to happen first. And so do I think it's going to happen by this June? No. No. And this other thing about Paul Ryan. Yeah, it is. I've been hearing about this crap for years with Paul Ryan, who's going to step in and be the interim president because President Trump is going to have to resign. And I still don't see that happening. As much as they hype it, I just don't see it happening. He was put in the presidency by 90% of the people. The popular vote, 85% minimum. And so how can they take out a very popular president and put in a baby raper just because that makes the Chinese happy? Because the Chinese are trying to exert its authority and control over America by saying who our next president's going to be, that our President Trump has to retire, and they're going to put in their choice of Paul Ryan in as president of the Republic of China. It's all a bunch of hogwash, folks. Do you see the writing on the wall? If you see Trump forced to resign and Paul Ryan come in as interim president, we are no longer a United States of America or a restored republic. We are nothing but a republic of China. I don't understand why these New Agers can't get it. They can't see it. I just point out the facts, folks. I've been watching this regime for almost 20 years now come into play. I've been waiting for it forever. And there's so many different factions fighting for control of it. And then this whole circus with Comey the last couple of days. Script reading. Let's move on to the rest. Move to the back of the play already. That's why I just can't get into the news, because it's all scripts. It's all script reading. This whole charade with Comey testifying. Let's see, the last time he was there, he did nothing but lie and refused to answer any questions. So let's bring him back again and make a big spectacle of it on TV. Seriously. It hasn't really done him any good. It's all just going Trump's way. Because everything's pretty much, if Trump speaks it, he's usually correct about 99% of the time, don't you think? That's what I like about Trump. I'll just tell you the way it is. That's the way I've been all my life. I just tell you the way it is. I'm not cheering for or against anything. I just tell you the way it is. The Lord stood me up to warn people and prepare them about this 8th regime coming, and that's what I do. I don't like it. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't like the regime right now. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a mouthpiece. Just tell you how it is. People need to prepare and get ready, and that's why I'm here, to help people prepare and get ready and secure their walls. Wall your villages. Get Orgone walls around your counties, around your communities, around your states. Because that's like putting a wall, a flame of fire around it. Orgone is the ether energy. It's a fire against the wicked. It burns them. It's a flame. You can't combat spiritual beings with spiritual means, or with physical means. That's why you look at the rider of the white horse in Revelation chapter 6. It's a rider with a bow but no arrows. People think that that's legislation, that that's bureaucracy, that's diplomacy. No, it's an unconventional weapon. A bow with no arrows. He's holding the bow. He isn't typing on it. He isn't texting on it. He isn't filing it in a file cabinet or computer. It's a weapon. It's a bow with no arrows, meaning unconventional weapon. And what unconventional weapon has the rider of the white horse given us for these last days? The Orgone. The Orgone. People want to hate. They want to hate on me. Go ask the Father. I don't know what it is with people. They're just so stubborn. They just want to nitpick, and they want to argue, and they want to hate. I didn't have time for you 17 years ago. I don't have time for you today either. I just move on. I just take my little ragtag band of warriors, and we get things done. Oh, look, there's Donald Trump tours chemtrail plane promises to terminate the program. He's going to butt heads with the Pentagon, isn't he? Because, see, the Navy puts their chemtrail program buried in the Air Force budget, and the Air Force does the same thing. They bury theirs in the Navy budget, so nobody knows who's paying it and where it is. It's all about dimming the earth and trying to eliminate the Orgone energy. The Orgone energy is the life force of the earth. If you look at the earth from space, it has a blue glow, a blue aura to it. That's the ether energy that's around the earth. That's a living energy. That's called what we call Orgone energy. And so with the chemtrail programs, they're trying to eliminate that living life force energy around the earth. And they're trying to dim the sun because the rats don't like sunlight. And they don't want it hot here. They prefer it cold to suppress what Orgone we've put out over the years, because our Orgone reaches up into space and it crashes their UFOs. They had to ground an entire fleet, the F-35s of the Air Force, because they couldn't fly in Orgone-saturated air, because somehow the Orgone combats wicked technology, the alien technologies, melts them. They could probably sell them to North Korea, because there's no Orgone in North Korea that I know of. Maybe most of China. I don't know how successful Trump would be getting rid of the chemtrail program, which has a million uses. Dumping chemicals and toxins on everybody, filling up the hospitals. I heard one time that 99% of the population had already been saturated with the zombie virus. We're all carrying the zombie genes, and that all it would take is one trigger to ignite a zombie outbreak, but they can't figure out what the trigger is. They could turn everybody into a zombie with one trigger. I don't know how much true that is. I think that's a wish list or something. Because, I mean, I'm a child of God, so your zombie virus isn't going to work on me. But they're sure as heck trying for the wicked, aren't they? I know bath salts thing in Florida a couple years ago, and the flesh-eating plagues in the water in Georgia. All that was test runs to see how they could trigger the zombie virus in drugs and in water. They were all test runs. They harmed really good people. I mean, the man who became a zombie on the bath salts and freaked out and bit the homeless guy's face off, he was a good man. He was fed something at a party, and it turned him crazy. He went to a party on a beach, and they got him to ingest it. He didn't know what he was doing. They fed it to him or something. But that's what they can do, folks. So, we get started for another week in June. I like this weekend. I'm enjoying this weekend. The weekend, Moses led the people out of Egypt. And then they went to Sinai, and the Lord appeared to them on Sinai. So anyway, if you have questions for the show, you can send them in at sherry@shriner.com. I think that's the easiest email to remember. sherry@shriner.com. It's supposed to heat up, it's supposed to get really hot. Somebody sent me Chuck Youngbrandt's prophecy. I remember posting that on my website, thewatcherfiles.com, back in the early 2000s. He had a prophecy of the last days. And one of the prophecies was it would start to heat up in the middle of June. And it would be unbearable. There would be no rain and sweltering heat from mid-June until October, when the temperatures would suddenly take a dive, probably go from total one extreme of heat and hot to total cold. So we'll see how that holds up, because I know from this weekend on out it's going to start getting really hot. We've all been enjoying winter weather already. I haven't had much of a spring. It's been... Anyway, I'll be back on Monday. Friday's show goes really quick, don't you think? I just want to touch base with you. Till Monday night, everybody. God bless.